Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So before we jump right into this video, I just wanted to give a quick disclaimer that in this video I talk a little bit about consent and how important that is in regards to some of these love interests, and so if that is a sensitive topic for you, this might not be the right video for you. That being said, if you do decide to stick around, it's still going to be a fun time, and so I'm excited. So for those of you who don't know, I've been going on a Nickelodeon binge this past month or two. I've been trying to rewatch all of the main live action Nick shows so I can make some top 10 lists and stuff like that. In case you're curious, I've watched iCarly, Victorious, Big Time Rush, Zoe 101, Drake and Josh, Ned's Declassified, School Survival Guide, H2O, Just Add Water, Callie's Mashup, House of Anubis, Unfabulous, True Jackson VP, Sam and Cat, and then I was thinking about watching Naked Brothers Band next, maybe? I don't know. Let me know down below what you think I should watch next. I also watched the first season of Henry Danger a few years back, and I have no interest in revisiting that show. And then I also watched a couple episodes of Drama Club, but there was no ships in it, and so they lost my interest. But something that really caught my attention when I was rewatching iCarly is that Carly Shay has a ton of love interests. She has so many of them, and they all suck. And it looks like in the reboot they will be continuing that legacy. But I thought it would be fun to just sit down and rank all of her 15 main love interests from the show, just in preparation for what's to come. If I forgot any of the main ones, I apologize, but you can blame the wiki for that because even they forgot a few that I had to include for this list, and I just watched the show a week ago, so I feel like I got them all. I mean, there might be more, but we don't care about them. But before we jump right into number 15, this video is sponsored by Skillshare, so let's talk about that for a sec. Skillshare is an online learning platform that I'm sure you've heard me talk about before. It's a great place to go to learn something new or to further improve on a skill that you already have. They offer a variety of classes from photography to business to video production to creative writing. It's really a great platform that I've been using a lot this past year, and I just love it. I just recently took a class on video production for Instagram called Video for Instagram: Tell an Engaging Story in Less Than a Minute. It was taught by this digital storyteller, Halise, who was amazing, by the way, very engaging, and she definitely knew what she was talking about. And I found the class really interesting, not just for Instagram, but for social media platforms in general. I've talked a little bit in the past about how I've tried to improve my presence on Instagram, as I feel like it's a good platform that kind of goes hand in hand with YouTube, and so I feel like this class was just perfect for me. And I would also really recommend it for others who are trying to get into the social media space, but they're not really too sure how. So if this class sounds like something you'd be interested in, or if you want to check out any of the other classes that Skillshare has to offer, you can click the link in the description down below. The first 1,000 people that join with my link will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium, and so that's everything on the platform for free, and then once that trial expires, it's just under $10 a month annually. And so thank you once again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you guys for checking out Skillshare, as it does really help out the channel a lot. Alright, with all that being said, let's jump right into number 15. So number 15 is without a doubt Nevel Papperman. Now I'm sure most of you remember Nevel, as he was a reoccurring character on the show, known for trying to take iCarly down, but I feel like some of you might not remember how he was involved with Carly in a romantic way. That makes it sound like they were dating. They were not dating, but Nevel did have an interest in Carly. It all started in the beginning of the show when Carly went over to his house for an interview, and then he tries to flirt with her and kiss her, and so she shoves tapenade in his face. And then ever since then, he's like, "You're gonna regret this." Well, no, he's like, "You're gonna rue this," which is a pretty iconic line, I will admit, but I just find the whole concept of wanting to get revenge on someone because they don't reciprocate your feelings towards them is just such a twisted concept. But then I guess it makes sense because Nevel is a pretty twisted character, but still it just feels so icky to me. And then yeah, in the next episode he comes back, it's just the same thing all over again, where he just wants her to kiss him, and I just feel like forcing someone to do anything they don't want to do makes you a pretty terrible person in my books, and that's not even counting all of the other stuff that Nevel did. Oh, I also forgot that he was also Carly's boyfriend in the alternative reality where Spencer was normal, and so there was that as well. But overall, Nevel is just a terrible person, definitely the worst love interest on the show. He's trash and I don't like him, and I'm very excited to see him in the reboot. Okay, so number 14, you might not remember, but it is Trey from the Pear Store episode. So in this episode, Carly meets this guy who works at the Pear Store who she thinks is cute, and so she tries flirting with him, but he just acts all oblivious to what she's saying until she finally asks him to come over, and then he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then when he does come over, he basically becomes another person and tries forcing himself onto her, which, as we discussed with Nevel, we do not like that. He was almost worse than Nevel in that regard, but then it's also Nevel did all that other stuff, and so at least after this episode, Trey was done and gone, whereas Nevel just keeps coming back. I will say, one good thing that came out of this episode was seeing Spencer kick Trey out of the apartment and smash his phone. It was a very good, older brother moment, but overall, yeah, Trey is a garbage human, and so that is why he's number 14. Coming in at number 13, we have Hey Steven, I know looks can be deceiving. I feel like that's too much of a compliment to relate him to that song. But this one's pretty straightforward. He was the love interest in iParty with Victorious. He was dating both Carly and Tori at the same time. It was kind of like the focal point of the episode was that he was a cheater, and so we don't like that, and so I feel like number 13 is a good spot for him. Number 12 is Austin, and this guy I just have a particular distaste for. Like every time I think back to him, it just fills me with such disgust. I really do not like this man. For those of you who might need a refresher, Austin is from the speed dating episode. They got on really well during their speed date, but then when he takes her to the dance, he literally does not let her speak. Every time Carly would open her mouth, he would interrupt her or talk over her, and it was just so frustrating to watch. And what made it even more annoying is that they got on so well in the beginning, and so it was just like, dude, what is your problem? I mean, I guess it was a good lesson for the episode that like you should get to know someone better before going out with them, but like, yeah, overall, Austin is the worst. We do not like him. 0 out of 10. Now at number 11, we have Jonah, and you might be thinking, wait, wasn't he Sam's boyfriend, not Carly's? And you would be correct. He was the one who tried to kiss Carly while he was dating Sam, and so he's bad. We don't like him, and he definitely deserved his comeuppance. Okay, so now I feel like we're getting into like the not terrible but still bad ones, because like I said, the majority of the guys on this list are just the worst. And so next we have Kyle. He was the snobby British guy that she pretended to be smart for. And what bugged me so much about Kyle is that he wasn't just annoying and pretentious, but he was also super hypocritical. I'm pretty sure the first time we meet this guy, he complains to Carly about how like the last girl he dated wasn't smart enough for him, and then by the end of the episode he was like, I don't care how smart you are, I'm just mad that you lied. And I was just like, but you do though. You said at the beginning of this episode that that's something you care about. So don't act all surprised that she pretended to be something that she wasn't when you basically set that bar to begin with. He just seems like the type of person that is always blaming other people and never taking accountability himself. And so I don't like him. So we made it to the top 10, or I guess we made it to the top 10 with the last guy, but I just noticed now. And so at number 9, we have Court. And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't even too sure if like he really counted, but this is where he is. He was the dumb intern that both Sam and Carly had a crush on, or I don't know if I'd go as far as say that they both had a crush on him, but they were both like infatuated by him. And yeah, I honestly didn't really know where to place him in this list, and so this is where he is. Next we have Jake. So this is the guy that Austin Butler played, and he was like the school hottie that everyone had a crush on, but he always had a girlfriend. And then in this episode he breaks up with his girlfriend, and then he comes on iCarly and he like can't sing, and so Freddie auto-tunes his voice. And then basically nothing ends up happening between him and Carly because he sees her with Freddie, and so he thinks that they're dating. And then he gets back together with his girlfriend. And so I really wasn't too sure where to place this one, but I feel like I might be a little bit biased because, I don't know, I guess I kind of like Austin Butler. Like, he's a chill guy. But yeah, I guess I don't really have anything negative to say about this one besides the fact that he has like really poor communication skills. And so yeah, I felt like this was a good spot for him. Coming in at number 7, we have Shane, or as he is more famously known, James from BTR. So he was the guy who was friends with Freddie, and Sam and Carly both liked him, and so they had a competition to see who would get to date him based on whoever could kiss him first. And I feel like that concept alone is pretty problematic, and I just can't help but feel like if the genders were reversed, then maybe this episode would have been a bigger deal than it was, because I feel like no one ever talks about how problematic this episode was. I also didn't like how Carly kissed him in the hospital when he couldn't give consent. Like, that wasn't cool either. And so I'm like, maybe this one should be farther back, but honestly none of those things were Shane's fault. It was Carly who was behaving bad in this situation, and so like Shane's fine. He's a chill love interest. I actually really liked how he kind of puts them in their place near the end of the episode before he falls down an elevator shaft. And then I guess I am also a little bit biased because I do like Big Time Rush, and so that's Shane. He's, I don't know, number 6 or something? Number 7? Yeah. Alright, cool. Let's move on. Okay, next is Adam. He was the guy from the Fan Wars episode, and honestly, Adam wasn't that bad. It just bugs me that he didn't trust Carly when she said that nothing was going on with her and Freddie. If you don't remember, basically they were at this convention, all of their fans were freaking out over Freddie versus Seti. And so Adam was there, and he was like, what's this about you and Freddie? And I mean, to be fair, Sam did confirm it, but he still kind of bugged me just overall, and so I feel like he wasn't the worst, but he also wasn't the best, and so number 6. Alright, so the one I'm sure you were all waiting for, we've got Freddie Benson at number 5. Now, I've already made my stance clear on Twitter as to where I stand in this terrible love triangle, and that is that I don't ship either of them. I ship Sam and Kat because Puck and Tyne is everything, and they are just so in love. But as a kid, I was definitely team Seti. And so going back and rewatching it, I was just so disappointed with how they handled their relationship that I just don't ship Seti anymore. It was just so rushed and terribly done in my opinion that I just can't help but feel like Sam and Kat would be so superior. And so then that leaves Freddie. Freddie, and I don't really remember being a big Freddie shipper as a kid. Like, I remember watching I Saved Your Life and really liking it, but I feel like I mainly liked the episode just for all the drama that was in it. Like, I don't know if I really cared that much for the ship, but more just like the drama that was going down. And then now, after rewatching the show, I just found the way that they handled their relationship to be really weird. I found Freddie to be so annoying in the beginning, like the fact that he kept making comments about kissing Carly or like dating Carly. Like, I could not imagine being friends with someone like that, and so I'm very happy that he grew out of that. And then as they grew up, I just found myself really liking their friendship. Like, it felt very platonic to me, almost like a sibling dynamic, and I really liked that. It was honestly just really nice to see a healthy boy-girl friendship on a kid's show for a change. But then obviously they were still trying to like play up their relationship for the people that shipped them, and so then we ended up with like really awkward scenes that just made no sense in the grand scheme of things, like the scene where they dance together or their kiss scene at the end, which I'm still just so confused by. Like, I remember watching the finale and just bawling my eyes out and then getting to the Freddie kiss and just being like so confused. Like, I thought that after I rewatched that episode I would understand that kiss more, but I'm still just so confused as to why it exists and why it happened in the first place. I will say though, if they do become a thing in the reboot, I'll be here for it as long as it's done well, because so far I just feel like their romantic relationship was not handled well, and so that's why it flopped. I just feel like they were too busy trying to play both sides of the triangle that they ended up ruining both of them. But I do stand by the fact that I Saved Your Life is a really good episode. I really enjoyed that one, and I love the story arc of that episode, but it still doesn't make me want to put Freddie any higher up on this list than he is. Okay, so I mainly have this next guy at number 4 just because I thought it would be funny to put him above Freddie, and that is Keith. We have Keith at number 4, and you're probably wondering, who is Keith? Keith is a guy that Carly had a date with, but then they never actually got to go on their date because TiVo shot him in the head with a lemon and knocked him out. And so we didn't see much of Keith, but honestly that's what made him so great. Like, we didn't get enough time for him to be problematic. He also brought something for their date, and he didn't get a chance to explain what it was that he brought before he got knocked out, but it looked like a food item, and so I feel like anyone who brings food on a first date is a winner in my books, and so justice for Keith, he deserved better. Now at number 3 we have the one and only Gibby. Now, believe it or not, the Gibby and Carly love story actually started out pretty early on in the show. If you'll remember, way back in season 1, I believe, they did this dating game show on iCarly in which Gibby was the bachelor, and which girl did he choose? That's right, he chose Carly, and so they have technically been on a date already, which is just great. And I just love how she was always so nice to him when they were younger, and then he also played her love interest in the Kelly Cooper terrible movie trailer, and so I just feel like there were hints. There were definitely hints there happening. But I personally didn't start like actually legitimately shipping them until season 4 when he becomes a part of the main cast. Particularly during the one SETI episode where Gibby buys a puppy for them to co-parent now that Sam and Freddie are doing stuff together. I love that plotline so much. It's probably one of my favorite moments from the show. And so I'm here for Carly and Gibby. Do I think it would ever happen, especially considering that Noah Monk is not going to be in the reboot? Probably not, but a girl can dream. Okay, so next we have another one that I'm sure you've all been waiting for, and that is Griffin, also known as Pee Wee Baby Guy. And I honestly would go to my grave saying that they did Griffin dirty because he deserved so much better. And I just feel like their story was very like Wattpad-esque, if that makes sense. Like, Griffin was this bad boy that Spencer forbid her from seeing, and so they had to like sneak around. And I honestly felt like I was reading a Wattpad story while I was watching this episode. And then also all the other gems we got from this episode as well, like the bagels I didn't even want. Like, this episode is without a doubt one of the best ones from the show. And I remember as a kid like not really thinking much about how their relationship ended, like just being like, oh, that's embarrassing that he still likes stuffed animals, whereas now I'm just like, huh? Like, how is that a deal breaker? Like, I personally feel like that would just make me even more attracted to somebody. Like, the fact that they are so passionate about something and would want to share it with me, like, I just feel like that's so cute. Especially when it comes to Griffin, because he is like this stereotypical bad boy, and so I just feel like it's so sweet that he has this like down-to-earth hobby. I mean, maybe I am a bit biased just because I can also relate to Griffin with my own interests, but I just feel like he's the perfect package. Like, I would be going to those Pee Wee Baby conventions with him. But to try to think about it more from like Carly's perspective, I personally feel like she was kind of more infatuated with him and the idea of him than having like genuine feelings for him, if that makes sense. I feel like that gives a better explanation as to why she was so turned off by the whole Pee Wee Baby thing, because she was never really into him to begin with. She was more into like the bad boy image and idea of him, which is kind of not cool on Carly's part, but they were pretty young and they weren't really dating for that long yet either, and so I can understand that. And I will say, Griffin acts kind of terrible when he comes back later on in the show and tries to kiss her, and it was just super odd, but as far as their original story goes, I really like him, and so that is why he is my number 2. So the guy I have at number 1 might be a little bit anticlimactic, but it is Lance from the I Toe Fat Cakes episode. Basically, in this episode, Carly and him have a date planned, but then she ends up getting her toe stuck in the faucet, it, and so then he brings the date to her, and I just find the idea of that to be so adorable. It kind of gives me Liv and Holden vibes from that one time when they had a date planned, but then Liv gets stuck in plaster, and so then he ends up bringing a pizza to her and they have a date at home together. Like, I just find that idea to be so adorable. And then in this situation with Carly and Lance, they end up having like a really cute kiss scene as well, and it's just, I don't know, he just seems like such a good guy. I feel like it would have been really cool if Lance could have come back and been like a reoccurring boyfriend for Carly on the show, but at the same time, I'm happy that he didn't come back because they probably would have ruined him too. And so that's Lance. He's my favorite love interest that Carly had on iCarly, mainly just because he did nothing wrong. I have no complaints, and so number one. But I want to know what your favorite love interest was that Carly had on iCarly, so don't forget to let me know in the comments down below, or alternatively, let me know which love interest you think was the worst, because I almost feel like that is more interesting. So let me know down below. I can't wait to read all about it. Also, let me know what you think about the reboot. I'm really excited to see how things change and what stays the same, and like just the vibe of the whole show. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So yeah, let me know what you think about that down below as well. Anyways, Kidder Tots, that is all I have to say for today. I hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you very, very soon. Alright, I'm filming a video.